you, Hiranmaiji. Thanks for this. Thanks for having me here. So I will just give you a small snapshot of where I came from and what I did in terms of like what is the job. I ran a couple of startup programs in India, especially on Google Cloud, and I've been working as a mentor for many other accelerators in the world, including Google Launchpad and accelerators of United Nations. So the whole point for me is looking at startup and making sure that they have they succeed in whatever they're doing at this point is something which is core value to me personally. So I've seen a lot of startups in their journey, and what I I definitely see a value for industry or in the corporate accelerators is two things. Corporate accelerators brings two things on board. One, a vast industry experience. Second, go to market. So if you look at all the corporate accelerators today, either bring you experience which is industry specific or give you a market access, like an entry into the market. So what, and I've seen even in terms of what Google does, I work with many. By the way, if you look at Google today, it has many accelerators on its own form. So we created accelerators for gaming sector. We created accelerators for in US for women entrepreneurs. We created accelerators for Black founders. So we have multiple and multitude variety of accelerators we built for a specific vertical use case, because I think the whole point of any accelerator we build is ensuring that we bring in the domain knowledge and also make sure that the startup understands how we kind of actually or provide them the best of industry experience. So the whole gamut of how we bring this on board is not just alone we sit and explain what we do, but also bring in the industry experience or industry experts into one community and give that access to the community, to the startups. So what I generally see is, for students in specific, like if you are looking forward to have a student wanted to build a company, typically the way I have seen a lot of people who are quite successful is building something unique in their, like I would say, what is the core IP they're actually working with. It might not be something which is repeatable. It might not be something which is which can be easily scalable. But what is the core IP they are bringing onto the table, which actually creates a lot of impact? So that's what I have seen. Most of the startups who have been successful in the places where I work with always comes with a specific domain knowledge which is unique for them. Now, the way I would definitely see going further, especially with a lot of industry government, like government sector, where I work with a lot of companies around a lot of state governments, is government is in a position where they can actually get this done in a way which is much more streamlined in fashion, because you have connects with industry experts, you have connects with go to market, and especially the problems of people real time on the ground. So I would say accelerators which are part of government has a lot of depth and breadth and of knowledge and industry experience which they can bring on board, and obviously they that's the best experience any startup or a student can really get on the day one. So yeah, I think this is what I have seen, and this is what Google does, and this is what in future I'm looking forward to. I think more and more accelerators which are designed by government who can actually go ahead and give either startup experience or make them understand the problem, which will pave the way for a lot of young entrepreneurs to come on board, start working with them, gaining new experience, and at the same time solving problems for the entire ecosystem. So I believe only in one thing. It's not like I believe in a great partnership in general. So it's like you work with a specific startup, you kind of actually repeat the circle, you give it back to the society, you make it bigger and bigger. So the societal impact or social entrepreneurship is something which I corely believe in, because as you do right things for the society, you end up growing for the reason that you are appreciated and you are needed for that. So this is what I even tell any student entrepreneur, like instead of building a product, building an ecosystem and powering the ecosystem with a product will eventually make the entire startup a success case. You can see all the companies which were successful and had billion-dollar revenue at this point in India created ecosystems. They never created a product actually, like being the best successful like Dunzo or Swiggy or you name it. Like all of them created a specific business model which is more building an ecosystem around and helping the communities around. And but the smart thing they did is actually they powered with a single product which can do all this job for them. So this is where I see a value in all over the world, and I see a easy access where you can take this product and launch elsewhere in the world, and you have enough people supporting you for that, and you see a valuation obviously growing up as when you build ecosystem based products like this. So yeah, I think these are my inputs on three different things: on what I see, what I go, what government has value in it, and how it can play a major role, especially government accelerators, given the depth and rich of information and experience they can bring on board. And the last thing is obviously where this is heading and uh, uh, what kind of startups would be most successful in the ecosystem.
How do you see the change happening? Which are the major facets?
That's a great question. So, the great change, the lot of changes which are happening for last 5 years is one. When I came out of college, if I go and tell my father I'm going to have a startup, my father would be really paranoid, given that it's he is a middle class person, and he obviously have needs his kid to be learning something or doing something for money. But today there is a generation like us who are like kind of are open to give their kids or students some time before they end up going to a job or go ahead and work for do a startup. And most of the students today are open to take that risk. Like it's not a bad thing to go ahead and achieve something. And if it fails, I mean, it's always good. If it fails, you gain experience. And by the way, if you see the statistics, a lot of people who ended up failing in a startup would end up going to larger companies, becoming more than a software engineer. They're respected for their experience and what the risk they have taken and the knowledge they come up with and join another company. So their career is not stopping there. So you have a clear path of you going out of college and your parents are supportive and they're well paid enough. Might not be everyone that, but there is a generation of parents who are okay to give the kids an opportunity to go and take the risk. Kids are having certain time before they end up moving to a company for a job. They can go ahead and take that. So this is what a major shift of changes. The risk taking capability, the parents or the family encouragement to give this, which was given to these people who wanted to try and go over and work for a startup or do a startup of their own. And the third one, which I clearly see, is I don't care if I fail attitude. That's very important. So people are no longer afraid of failures if something goes wrong in a startup, if they build something and they fail in that. So these are the shifts I see for last 5 years, which are growing, especially in India.